Okay, chapter 4.2, percent of increase and decrease. So we're looking at things that grow or get smaller, and we want to see what the percentage is on how much they change. So the percent of change is equal to the amount of change over or divided by the original amount. This is important. We'll need to keep our eye on this one. If we're increasing, let's say that we watch online. The example shows us a table of the number of hours spent online during the weekend. We spent 2 hours on Saturday online, and on Sunday that increased to 4.5 hours. Okay, so this is an increase, and if they want to find out the percent of change, we could see that it more than doubles from 2% up to 2 hours up to 4.5 hours. So the amount of change is what we're trying to find out. So we talk about what's the difference between 4.5 and 2. So if we put 4.5 minus 2, that's the amount of change over the original amount, which is 2 hours. Then I can rewrite that. 4.5 take away 2 is 2.5, 2.5. 4.5 hours take away 2 hours is 2.5 hours. And it looks like this. You can write that as a percent just by actually using a calculator. 2.5 divided by 2. If we go up here, it's 2.5. That didn't work. 2.5 divided by 2 is 1.25. We come back down here. So this is equal to 1.25. Now from our last lesson, we have to recognize that 1 is 100% and 0.25 is 25%. So I can see that 1.25 is 125%. The other thing I can do is just move that decimal over twice because a percentage is out of 100. So if I multiply it by 100, it moves the decimal over 2 places and it gives me that percentage. The other way I can do this is I can just look at this fraction and I can change it to a fraction out of 100. 2 times 50 is 100, so 2.5 times 50 is 125. And 125 over 100 is 125%. Okay. So if we're just going to randomly grab a problem and try it, let's do that. Just pick one. 24 songs. Increases to 78 songs. So 24 increases to 78, and these are songs. We have to figure out how to find the percentage of increase. So again, what's the amount of change? This is an increase, so we do 78 minus 24 over the original, which was what we started with, which was 24. So the difference between 78 and 24. So 78 minus 24 is 52, I think. Let me 24 plus 52. No, it would be 54, wouldn't it? So it's good to check your work just to see, because 20 plus 50 is 70 and 4 plus 4 is 8, so 24 plus 54 is 78. So the difference here is 54 over 24. And then again, I can use a calculator. Again, it's more than 100%. Keep picking these that are more than 100%. I should try something different. That was 54 divided by 24. So we're going to clear this one. 54 divided by 24 is 2.25. So we have 2.25, which is 225%. So increasing from 24 to 78 is increasing 225%. That's a lot. Let's look for a decreasing problem. Here's one. It says 50. Let me go ahead and get out of this. 50 pounds decreasing to 35 pounds. We're going from 50 to 35 pounds. So again, we just need the difference. So 50 minus 35 over the original. And the difference from 35 is 15. 15 plus 35 is 50. Excuse me. Over 50. And this is another place. This one is, you can still use a calculator, 15 divided by 50. But in this particular case, it's actually easier and quicker to change it to a fraction out of 100. 50 times 2 is 100, so 15 times 2 is 30. That means we have 30%. If we went ahead and did that on a calculator, 15 divided by 50, 15 divided by 50 is 0.3. And 0.3 is the same as 0.30, and that's 30 hundredths, which is 30%. Hopefully that all works for you. Okay, the last thing, they want you to do some problems that I'm not sure the examples showed you how to do. They said find a new amount. So they might say like 8 meters increased by 25%. Okay, so it grows by 25%. Basically what we need to do is find 25% of 8 meters and then add it to 8 meters. See, if it increased by 100%, it would be another 8 meters, and 8 plus 8 is 16 meters. So we're increasing by 25%. So we just need to find 25% of 8 meters, and of always means times. So 0.25 times 8, or 25 hundredths times 8. Okay, 25 hundredths, this is the way I would prefer, because 25 hundredths is the same as 1/4. And then this just becomes 2. And 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. So it would be increased by 2. So we would have 8 plus 2 is 10. So 8 meters increased by 25% is 10 meters. Okay? Might have to look at that again real quick. If we do it the other way, 0.25 times 8, just going for the calculator, 0.25, figure out where the multiplication key is. Oh, here we go. We'll just use this one. Times 8 is equal to 2. And that's what we found using fractions. We added 2 to 8 and got 10. Okay. That should be how you do it. Now when you get to that second set, find the new amount. Problems 13 through 20. You're going to want to make sure that you remember what we're doing here is we're finding the percent of a number and then adding it back to the number. 25% of 8 ended up being 2, but then we had to add it back onto 8 to get 10. Now if you're doing if you multiply it by 1.28, and this is sort of just a trick, or 1.25, it will add the 8 and give you the 2, and it'll just give you 10. Just to show you, this is sort of advanced, and you have to understand what you're doing. If you have 8 times, instead of 0.25, if we do 1.25, then you're multiplying, then you're keeping that 8 when you multiply 8 by 1, and it keeps the 8 and adds the 2. Anyway, kind of fun. Just something for you to think about. Okay, enjoy your lesson.